Hello there, how are you doing this evening? I actually have no clue what I'm going to talk about tonight. Usually I've picked a word out, and therefore I would have a clue of what to talk about. Unfortunately tonight I'm a bit out of my mind, or a lack of things to say. Something may be amiss, but I'm not quite sure. I remember as I was driving to my school today that I heard a line, I've heard it before, and it's something along the lines of, it's like a sane man in an insane world. And I always kind of like things like that, where you can take the word and then you add a little thing to it and then it changes the meaning of it completely. But I actually have a problem with the word insane, because if you are sane, then that would mean that you are outsane, or that you're outside of sanity, which is kind of an oxymoron of sorts. It's almost like saying if you're in-house, you are out of your house, but I don't quite understand. And there's several other words like that as well, like incomprehensible, will mean that you can't comprehend something. Or really, whenever you almost put the word in front of almost any word, not really any word, you mean the opposite of what you're saying, which in itself is kind of an oxymoron. I just wish I knew why the prefix in meant the opposite. I know that un means the opposite, or non, but I'd like to know where in came from to mean that. Sorry, I kind of hiccuped and burped a little bit. I actually had a very nice meal this evening. I had a Buddhist delight at a very lovely Chinese cafe in Chicago, and it was very delightful. I strongly suggest that you go and go eat some Asian cuisine tonight. Anyway, so yeah. I had a teacher, and he was talking about the word Gesellschaft, the mind shaft. It's the German, and it's not used a lot. It means primary and secondary group, and it's not used a lot because it came out during the Nazi era of Germany, and it's one of those things where, oh well, if the Nazis liked it, it must not have been that great. But that's kind of the thing, is, granted, I don't support at all anything that the Nazis did, but I do think that there are a couple of things that they did that, despite how heinously they were produced, they were rather efficient, which is the point of a dictatorship, is to have a great deal of efficiency. One person decides everything, to dictate, and so on and so forth. I mean, a lot of things did come out from them, such as rockets, jets. They did have a couple of studies and such. I mean, in fact, because of the Nuremberg trials, we now know, what's that word? I want to say it's classical conditioning, but it's not classical conditioning. It is, what is that word? Is it that B.F. Skinner test? No, Stanley Milgram's test, actually, where he has a man come and sit down in a chair, and in the other room there's a man who's hooked up to a wire, and he's supposed to answer questions correctly, and if he answers the questions incorrectly, he's shocked. And, each time he gets the question wrong, the person giving the questions has to go up in the dose of voltage, eventually to the point where it's up to about 400 watts, I want to say. And although the point of the experiment is completely fake, there was no electricity, there was no harm being done to the man, he was, he did make noises when he was shocked. So that was a bit interesting, because the point of the experiment was to measure how far a person would go when told by an authoritative figure to do something. And most of the time it was found that people will go as far as you push them, and even if they don't go as far as you push them, they will go a considerable distance. So that's one thing that I think is always interesting. It's just the horrors of humanity. It's always scary to wonder what we would do. I think of us all as interchangeable pieces. We can be trained to do anything. But that is in itself a sort of horror, where whatever we are trained to do, we can also be trained to do the exact opposite. And it always makes me wonder, will there be a day when we are all trained to do one singular thing, and it is completely monstrous by modern standards, but yet there will be no real questioning of the system at hand? I don't quite know. I'm sorry, I'm taking a bit to think. I'm thinking about someone right now. They're very angry with me, and I'm very angry with them, but they're more angry with me. And they did something, and I feel what they did was more of an excuse than an actual reaction to the situation at hand. And I feel as though they're trying to cloud something rather than being very direct. And I shouldn't necessarily mind, because I am guilty of obfuscating things myself. But if you do a terrible job at obfuscating something, then you will get caught. And if you can't answer a question, then perhaps your lie is as weak as your mind. Lying is a great tool. My mother once told me that the reason why you lie is because you want to control something. I think that's actually, it's applicable, but not completely true or accurate. I think the reason why we lie is not necessarily to control, but to manipulate things. And you can say control and manipulate, they kind of have similar meanings, but in a way no, because control means you utterly have an iron fist over it, while manipulate means you're trying to push things in certain places. It's almost like dominoes, where you want to get the dominoes in a line or a sequence so that they can do their little shape and their little thing. While if you controlled the dominoes, you could make them stand up, fall down, push them over, do whatever you wanted with the dominoes. But the manipulation of the dominoes is more along the lines of what I think people are doing when they lie. I'm debating right now if I should say that people shouldn't lie. In an ideal world, we shouldn't lie. Unfortunately, we live in this world where we cheat and we steal and we do horrible things on a regular basis. We just don't really think about it. I mean, when was the last horrible thing you did? Last horrible thing I think I did is someone asked me, how is someone? And it took me a moment to actually remember who that person is. And I saw them quite recently, only about 4 days ago or so. And I've talked to them today. And it was just kind of shocking to me, because it just didn't register who they were. And you might be saying, well, what's the harm in that? Well, I don't know. What's the harm in anyone forgetting about you?